property guru Martin Roberts, financial expert Jasmine Birtle. Well, so we found out why it's like that. The most difficult thing is how do you do it then, Martin, if it's that difficult?
It sounds horrendous. You know, we've all had that feeling of moving into our first home and how fantastic it is. And I don't think people should give up. These figures are quite scary. 35 years old to get your first house. But there are things you can do, even in the current market conditions. It's not a lost cause. First of all, you've got to believe there are ways and means. If you know what you're doing, you really can do it. And Jasmine and me have come up with some really interesting ways that if you're sitting there thinking, I'm never going to get on the property ladder, or you're thinking, my children are never going to leave home, there's things you can do that will actually make that happen.
Oh, my two have both just gone.
You could potentially remortgage your own.
Well,
and
not necessarily just that, just act as a guarantor for your children's
Yeah.
mortgage. So you don't actually say, I'm going to pay the mortgage, but what the financial institutions want at the moment is security, that they think that money is going to be paid. So maybe mum and dad can step in and say, well, if the kids fail, we're there. The other thing is to be aware of that in that case, the parents will be liable, and so could their properties.
Yes.
There aren't so many of those mortgages around, but they do exist. It's a bit, and then also there's a new government scheme, First Buy, relatively new anyway. So with that one, you only have to put 5% deposit down, but it is only for new build houses. So it has to be a new build property.
Is they've got new plumbing in, they've got new wiring. I mean, you're taking on a property which is not instantly, apart from snagging, that dreadful word, you know, where things go wrong with new builds, you're not going to have to do any major work, hopefully.
You aren't, and therefore new builds can be a really good thing to go for. However, if you're a first-time buyer, one thing you've got in your favour is that you can do that thing called labour. Labour's expensive, you buy it, but you've got time and energy to put into a house. Maybe as well as thinking about a new build, think about a property that needs a bit of work, that you can add value to, put a new kitchen in, a new bathroom. Just do some stuff that's not expensive to do, but you, as a first-time buyer, once you're in that house, can maybe add value.
If you always pay your credit card off when the bill comes, you've got a rotten credit rating.
It's bizarre. The most important thing is to know what your credit rating is, because there could be errors on your credit file. For instance, somebody living in the house before you who had bad credit or didn't pay their bills. Even, you know, somebody with the same name as you whose credit file has been attached to yours. So it's free to check your credit rating. Just go online, there's 2 or 3 big credit ratings agencies, and just do a check on yourself and say, is this information that's there correct? Because it could be that you're being prejudiced by information that's there, but which is wrong.
We've got 3 houses here which are potential starter homes in different parts of the country. Let's have a look at them. The first one, I think, is in Stirling in Scotland. So this house, I mean, it's over a shop, presumably.
Doesn't look much when you're looking from the outside. However, I think as a first-time buyer, maybe look at outside the area where you're from, where prices of properties, if you're in London, for instance, you could be looking at an average of 300,000 for a house. So if you can't afford that as a first-time buyer, look at other parts of the country or within commuting distance. For instance, this, you know, you get it on the property ladder, and the deposit, if you have to find 20% of that, is going to be £11,000. 20% of a £300,000 house is £6,000.
There are ways forward.
There are, and that's a really important message. Don't lose hope that if you plan it well, there are ways which you can actually achieve that first home.
And hopefully you've helped a lot of people on that first run, or certainly to get it within reach. My thanks to Martin Roberts and Jasmine Birtle. Thank you very much.